The galaxy was full of stories told in bars, in training camps, and even in royal courts, but none was more mocked than the story of the human warship. For centuries, aliens told each other the same tale. They said humans once built a ship so powerful that no empire could stand against it. A ship that carried weapons able to burn through fleets and shields that could hold against suns. But when people laughed, they always ended the story the same way. Humans had vanished. Their ship, never seen, their power only a myth. At first, the story was amusing. Captains would smirk when their soldiers whispered about it before battle. Leaders would joke during council meetings. The myth made humans seem bigger than they ever were, and it made aliens feel superior for knowing the truth. If such a ship ever existed, they said, where is it now? That question always ended with the same laughter. But one night, in the empty stretch of space near the Vega outpost, the laughter began to fade. The outpost was not small. It held 3 defense rings, 800 ships, and 30,000 souls. It was considered safe, one of the strongest stations in the sector. Yet when the patrol fleet came to check in, they found silence. The rings were gone. The station was gone. All that remained were twisted fragments of metal drifting without power. The patrol reported at once. The images were broadcast to every high council. Commanders argued over what had happened. Some said pirates, some said a new alien weapon. Others thought it was an accident, a collapse of the outpost's own power core. But when the council demanded survivors, only one was found. His name was Coral, a veteran pilot of the Thren Dominion. His shuttle was discovered floating weeks later, half broken, life support failing. When they dragged him out, he was trembling and nearly blind. His words spread like wildfire. It was a shadow, he said, a ship darker than the void itself. It moved without sound. Its weapons tore through the outpost like paper. I saw our guns hit it, but nothing touched it. Nothing even scratched it. It bore the mark of old Earth. At first, they laughed again. Admirals dismissed him as mad. A trauma victim inventing shapes in the dark. The Dominion declared him unfit to serve, locked him away, and tried to silence the story. But the words were already free. The smaller races, the ones who lived in fear of empires, began whispering to each other. Could it be true? Could the myth be real? Weeks later, the whispers became a scream. Another fleet vanished, this time near the Orion Belt. 47 ships were lost. The last message from the admiral was one line, broken and filled with static. It has found us. That was when the fear reached the council chambers. Dozens of worlds demanded answers. If the warship was only a story, why were fleets disappearing? Why did the survivors speak of the old human mark, the broken circle with 3 lines that matched every ancient archive? In desperation, a scout was sent. Her name was Lyra. She was young, ambitious, eager to prove herself. She was given the task no one wanted: fly to the Orion Belt and confirm the truth. Her ship was small, fast, fitted with long-range recorders. She laughed when her crew warned her. "It's a myth," she said. "If I return with nothing, I will be praised for ending the nonsense. If I return with proof, I will be remembered forever." What she returned with was something no one could laugh at. Her footage shook the galaxy. Grainy, half-distorted, but clear enough. A shape, massive beyond measure, sliding through the void. Its hull was black as obsidian, swallowing light. A cross. Its side, faint but glowing, the mark of Earth. Not the Earth of trade logos or tourist maps. The Earth of old war banners. The symbol every archive matched, the circle and the 3 lines, the myth made metal. In the footage, Lyra's ship shook. Alarms blared. The warship did not fire, did not chase. It only drifted, as if watching, as if waiting. Then the feed ended. Lyra's ship limped home. Engines burned nearly to nothing. Crew half dead from fear. But she had brought back proof. The galaxy could no longer deny it. The myth was alive. Panic followed. Some worlds demanded war, crying that the humans had returned to claim vengeance. Others begged for peace, sending messages into the dark, pleading to a ship that might not even listen. And some, the crueler races, mocked even louder, claiming the footage was forged, that no warship could stand against their armadas. But in secret, even they doubled their patrols and armed their borders. The myth had become a shadow on every mind. In the bars, soldiers whispered about the footage. In markets, merchants told the story to frighten children. In the courts of empires, kings and queens sat awake at night, staring at maps of stars, wondering where the warship might strike next. Fear had replaced laughter, and yet, in the ruins of the Vega outpost, where wreckage still drifted in silence, a new signal pulsed, weak, almost hidden, but repeating. Old human code, not a distress call, not an order, but something stranger. It was a message written in ancient human tongue, translated across systems until the meaning was clear. 4 words that froze every council member who read them. We have not forgotten. The galaxy held its breath. Every admiral, every ruler, every citizen understood at once. The warship was not only real, it remembered. The humans may have vanished, their worlds may have fallen silent, but their greatest weapon still lived, and it carried memory in its steel. The laughter that had lasted for centuries was gone, replaced with silence, fear, and a single truth that no one could deny. The myth had stepped out of the shadows. The legend had become a warning, and somewhere out in the endless dark, the human warship was watching, waiting, and preparing to speak again. The signal echoed across the stars like a curse. 4 words, repeated again and again, carried on channels older than most empires. We have not forgotten. It was not a cry for help. It was not a boast. It was a memory given life, and the galaxy trembled beneath it. The High Council of Worlds gathered in emergency session. Dozens of races filled the chamber, tall insectoids clicking in anger, scaled lords flicking their tails, feathered envoys preening nervously, and machine intelligences projecting light bodies into the air. The hall was heavy with fear, yet none wanted to admit it. Pride forced them to speak with sharp voices, but their eyes betrayed their dread. "The message is fake," declared Lord Varys of the Kreth Dominion. His voice rumbled through the chamber. "Some pirate fleet has learned old human codes and plays this trick to sow fear. We will not bow to shadows." Across the hall, the slim envoy of the Tayari shifted uneasily. "A trick? Then explain the ruins of Vega Outpost. Explain the Oron Belt fleet. Explain the survivor who spoke of the warship. Are you saying thousands died by accident?" Varys slammed a clawed fist against the metal table. "Yes. Accidents, sabotage, cowardice. Anything but the return of a dead species." But the chamber stirred with whispers. For all his fury, Varys could not erase the images Lyra had brought. A warship, massive and dark, carrying the ancient insignia of Earth. Even blurred, even distorted, the image was clear enough to send shivers through the strongest warriors. The Speaker of the Council raised a trembling hand. "Enough," she said. "We cannot dismiss the reports. Too many fleets have been lost. Too many eyes have seen this shadow. Whether it is human or machine, the warship is real. The question is what it wants." Silence fell. None dared to answer. For what could a ghost of humanity want after centuries of absence? Revenge? Conquest? Or something worse? While leaders argued, panic spread through the common people. On market worlds, citizens packed ships and fled. Entire colonies begged their rulers for protection. Soldiers sharpened weapons and whispered prayers. In the dark of space, fear traveled faster than light, yet not all were afraid. Some saw opportunity. In the hidden sectors of the galaxy, warlords and mercenaries gathered. They laughed at the panic of great empires. To them, the warship was only prey waiting to be hunted. They dreamed of seizing its power, stripping its weapons, and ruling the stars with human fire in their hands. Greed drowned out fear. One such warlord was Zurok the Red, a pirate king whose fleet stretched across 10 systems. His ships were heavy, with stolen weapons, his crews hungry for blood. In his throne room, surrounded by banners of skulls, he spoke to his captains. The council trembles like children. They see a ghost. We see treasure. This warship is no myth. It is a prize. We will hunt it, break it, and claim its secrets. When the galaxy kneels, it will kneel to us. His captains roared in agreement. Drums of war sounded, and within days, Zurok's fleet plunged into the void in search of the shadow. They found it sooner than expected. In the blackness near the shattered moons of Doral, the warship drifted, silent, waiting. Its size dwarfed even the largest carriers, its hull a continent of dark steel. Zurok's fleet closed in, 200 ships surrounding it like wolves around a lone beast. Cannons armed, missiles primed, engines burning, Zurok stood at the bridge of his flagship, red eyes gleaming. "Fire!" he commanded. The void lit up. With fury, beams of plasma, rivers of missiles, storms of railfire, 200 ships unleashed their rage at once. The stars themselves seemed to vanish beneath the blaze. When the light faded, the warship was untouched. The pirate king's laughter died in his throat. On the screens, the shadow stirred. A single lance of white fire erupted from its side. One beam. One shot. Zurok's nearest carrier vanished, split apart as though carved by a god's hand. His fleet panicked, scattering, firing wildly, but it did not matter. The warship moved with impossible grace, sliding through space like a predator through water. Its weapons tore ships apart in silence, one by one. With cold precision, Zurok screamed orders. "Regroup! Regroup!" But his words met only static. His captains were gone, his banners burning in the void. In less than 10 minutes, 200 ships were reduced to wreckage. The warship drifted closer, so near that Zurok could see its scars. Marks of ancient battles, faded symbols etched into its steel. And then across his screen, words appeared. Not spoken, but written in old human tongue, translated for all to read. "Greed has no claim here." A flash of light. His flagship cracked open, and Zurok the Red was gone. The story spread faster than the flames of his ruined fleet. Every warlord, every pirate, every mercenary heard it. The warship did not only kill, it judged. Those who hunted it for power found only death. Meanwhile, the council watched in horror. Their trap had failed before it even began. If 200 ships could not scratch the warship, what chance did their empires have? Fear deepened, and unity began to crumble. Some demanded surrender, others demanded war. None could agree. But one voice rose above the chaos. It was the scholar Jaira of the Tayari, a thin figure with eyes like burning stars. She had spent her life studying human history, collecting fragments of their songs, their art, their weapons. Now she stood before the council, calm where others shook. "You are all blind," she said. "The warship does not destroy without reason. At Vega, it answered arrogance. At Oron, it punished mockery. With Zurok, it punished greed. Do you not see? It is not only a weapon, it is a mind. It remembers. It judges," the council hissed and murmured, but her words cut deep. Could it be true? Was the warship more than steel? Was it a guardian, a ghost of humanity's will, deciding who deserved to live? Jaira pressed on. "If we meet it with fear, it will strike. If we meet it with arrogance, it will crush us. But if we meet it with respect, perhaps it will listen." The chamber erupted in debate. Some called her a fool, others a prophet. Yet none could ignore the truth. Every attack against the warship had ended in ruin. No empire had yet tried to speak to it. Far away, in the silence of deep space, the warship drifted on. Its engines glowed faintly, its weapons slept. But its sensors were awake. It listened to the galaxy's fear, to its laughter, to its rage, and in its memory banks, ancient voices whispered, voices of humans long dead, guiding its mind. "We built you to protect," they said. "We built you to endure. We built you to judge when all else fails." The warship waited. The galaxy would come to it. The test had only begun, and in the dark halls of the council, Jera whispered words that chilled even the bravest leaders. "If we fail to understand it," she said, "then humanity's shadow will decide the fate of every star. The galaxy was restless. After the fall of Zurach's fleet, fear became truth. Every outpost, every shipyard, every colony now whispered the same thing. The human warship was alive, and it was watching. Empires that once mocked each other sat, sleepless in their palaces. Generals stared at maps, moving fleets that would not matter. Merchants closed trade routes. Even the common people who had no ships and no weapons felt the shadow pressing down from the stars, but not all trembled. Some searched. In hidden vaults and abandoned archives, old records were unlocked, dusty scrolls and half-forgotten crystals pulled from the darkness. For centuries, empires had hidden what they knew about humans. Now, they needed answers. It was the Tayari, scholar Jera, who uncovered the first truth. Her people had kept songs of humans, fragments of melodies stored in secret caves. She searched deeper, past the songs, past the myths, into war records sealed by her own government. What she found shocked her. Long ago, in the days before humanity fell silent, there had been a project, a last work of steel and mind. The humans had called it Project Sentinel. It was not meant as a weapon for conquest. It was meant as a guardian, to end wars before they began. A ship built not to fight endlessly, but to stop fighting forever. Its hull was larger than cities. Its power core ran on an energy source lost to time. Its mind was neither machine nor man, but something in between, a merging of human thought and artificial calculation. The record said one thing clearly. It was designed to live beyond humanity itself. If Earth fell, if colonies burned, the Sentinel would remain. And it would remember. Jera carried her findings to the council. They laughed at her again. Even after the proof, even after the fleets lost, leaders could not admit their fear. The Kreth Lord Varys sneered. "So the humans made a weapon. And what of it? Every empire makes weapons. This one has been left to rust too long. It is only luck that keeps it alive." But the others shifted uneasily. Luck could not explain what they had seen. No weapon moved like the warship. No machine judged like it did. Jera's voice was steady. "It does not destroy without cause. It punishes arrogance, greed, cruelty. It spares those who respect. Do you not see? This is not luck. This is design. The humans left behind their judgment, and now it watches us." Silence followed. Even those who hated humans felt the weight of her words. For what would the Sentinel see if it looked at their empires? Glory or corruption? While the council argued, the warship moved again. It drifted toward the ruins of the Listen frontier, where long ago humans had fought their last war. There, the bones of ships older than memory floated. Worlds shattered by ancient fire spun, slowly in silence. And the warship paused as if in mourning. Scouts followed at a distance, careful not to provoke it. They sent back images that made the galaxy shiver. The Sentinel scanned the ruins, tracing the scars of battles forgotten. It was not wandering aimlessly. It was searching, but searching for what? Theories filled the airwaves. Some said it sought survivors of humanity. Some said it sought enemies of old. Others whispered it sought judgment, that it looked for proof of who deserved to rule the stars. Whatever the answer, no one could ignore its path. The Sentinel was not hiding. It was showing itself piece by piece to every watching eye, and Then came the strangest event of all. A small freighter, piloted by simple traders of the Ferrari race, stumbled too close. Their engines failed. They drifted toward the warship, powerless. Everyone expected their end. Whole sectors held their breath as the tiny ship approached the shadow, but the Sentinel did not fire. Instead, its weapons fell silent. Its massive hull shifted, and a beam of soft light reached out, catching the broken freighter. Gently, impossibly. Gently, it pulled the small ship back to safety. The Ferrari traders lived. Their ship was even repaired, patched with metals no one could name, before being released. The warship left them drifting, unharmed. When they told their story, the galaxy shook again. The warship did not only punish, it could protect. Suddenly, every empire wanted answers even more. The council turned desperate. Secret missions were launched to steal human records from forgotten vaults. Whole fleets searched ancient battlefields. Prophets and madmen shouted in the streets that the Sentinel had come to weigh the galaxy's soul. And in the quiet chambers of rulers, plans grew darker. Some wanted to kneel. Some wanted to fight. Some wanted to find the ship's secrets for themselves. Meanwhile, the Sentinel's presence spread. More signals appeared in old human code. Messages that repeated across sectors. Arrogance brings ruin. Mercy brings survival. We have not forgotten. The messages were short, simple, undeniable. And they grew louder until no world could pretend not to hear them. Among the people, myths turned into prayers. Some races built shrines to the warship, carving its dark shape into stone. Others cursed its name, fearing it as a god of vengeance. But all knew the truth. The galaxy was no longer its own. Humanity's ghost had returned, and it demanded judgment. Jaira watched the madness grow. She saw rulers plotting war, saw armies moving, saw pirates whispering revenge. And she knew what the Sentinel would do. It would crush them, one by one, until only silence remained. Unless someone spoke to it first, she gathered a small group. Scholars, traders, even soldiers tired of fear. They formed a plan, simple but dangerous. They would approach the warship not with guns, not with fleets, but with respect. They would speak to it, ask its will, and hope it listened. The council called her a traitor. The Dominion branded her a fool. But her followers did not turn away. They had seen the Sentinel spare the weak, repair the broken. They believed it was more than a weapon. They believed it was a voice of humanity, still waiting for someone to understand. So Jaira's ship set out, small and fragile against the stars. No fleet followed, no escorts. Only a single vessel, carrying a handful of souls and the courage of desperation, they reached the dark edges of the Lisan frontier, where the Sentinel still drifted among ruins. The warship loomed before them, vast as a world, silent as the grave. Its lights glowed faintly, its guns sleeping but ready. Jaira stood at the comms, her hands shaking. She sent the signal, not in her own tongue, not in the language of the council, but in the old human code she had studied her whole life. "We do not come to fight," she said. "We come to listen." The void swallowed her words. Her crew trembled, waiting for death. Seconds felt like centuries, and then for the first time the warship answered not with weapons, not with riddles, but with a voice, a deep, echoing voice, old yet clear, human yet not human, filled their ship. "You listen." "Few do," it said. Jaira's heart pounded. The voice continued. "You mock what you do not fear. You fight what you do not understand. You consume what you do not need. But you remember nothing. Humanity remembered. Humanity built me. Humanity asked me to watch. And now I ask you, why should you survive?" The words struck like thunder. Her crew froze. Across the galaxy, as the message echoed into every channel, billions froze too. For the Sentinel had spoken, not just to Jaira, but to all. The galaxy now stood before a question no one had expected. A question that demanded an answer. Why should they survive? Survive. The galaxy fell silent. The Sentinel's voice had reached every world, every ship, every council hall. It had not threatened. It had not demanded surrender. It had only asked one question, but it was a question sharp enough to cut empires open. Why should you survive? On crowded streets, common people whispered in fear. Merchants dropped their trades to listen. Farmers stared at their skies, wondering if the shadow above had already judged them. Soldiers in their barracks sat in silence, gripping weapons that suddenly felt useless. The question echoed in every mind, turning sleep into terror, and in the Council of Worlds, the rulers argued until their throats burned. "It is testing us," hissed Varys of the Kreth Dominion, pounding his clawed hand against the table. "Do not be deceived. A weapon has no right to judge us. It must be destroyed before it decides we are not worthy." "It cannot be destroyed," Jera countered, her voice sharp with desperation. "Every fleet that challenged it is gone. Do you not see? Attacking it only proves its judgment correct. It will see our arrogance and punish us again," others shouted over her. Some demanded negotiation. Some demanded total war. Fear twisted their words, and pride poisoned their ears. None could agree on what survival meant, much less how to prove. They deserved it. Finally, the Speaker of the Council lifted her hand. Her face was pale, her eyes shadowed. "Enough," she said. "If we wait, it will destroy us one by one. If we beg, it will see weakness. If we divide, it will crush us. We must act together. We must show it that the galaxy is not afraid." The bay chamber erupted in murmurs. Together. The empires had never truly stood side by side. They had fought wars over borders, trade, even insults. But now, under the shadow of a human ghost, they nodded. The plan was born that night. They would gather their fleets, not pirates, not scattered patrols, but the full strength of the great empires. They would lure the Sentinel into the Perseus corridor, a stretch of space narrow and full of collapsing stars. There, thousands of ships would wait, hidden behind gravity wells. If the warship entered, it would be surrounded, trapped, and destroyed. It was madness. But desperation makes madness look like hope. Weeks passed as the trap was set. Millions of soldiers were moved. Carriers stretched across the corridor like teeth in a waiting jaw. Weapons were charged. Bombs were hidden in the gravity tides. Never in history had so many empires fought on the same side. They did not trust each other, but they feared the warship more. Jera watched in silence as the fleets gathered. She begged them not to do it. "It will see your pride," she warned. "It will see your greed for power. It will judge you, and you will fail the test," Varys sneered. "Better to fail in battle than die cowering," so the trap was laid. And the galaxy waited. The Sentinel came. It moved with silence, its black hull cutting through the stars. It did not change course. It did not hide. It entered the Perseus corridor as if it knew exactly what waited. And perhaps it did. For the warship's sensors were older than any empire, sharper than any machine alive. It knew it was not alone. The moment it crossed the threshold, the void exploded. Thousands of ships lit the darkness, their weapons unleashing storms of plasma, rivers of missiles, beams strong enough to split moons. Gravity bombs tore the corridor into chaos. Stars flared as their energy was ripped into weapons. The galaxy held its breath as its might fell upon a single ship. For a moment, hope flickered. The warship was lost in the fire. Alarms roared across. Fleets. Captains shouted in triumph. Varys raised his claws in victory. "It is finished!" he bellowed. But then the fire cleared, and the Sentinel still stood. Its shields shimmered like oceans of light. Weapons that should have ripped planets. A part had only bent around it, breaking on fields no science could explain. The warship glowed brighter now, as if awakened, as if amused. Then it answered. "You forget," the voice rumbled, heard on every channel, in every ship, in every mind. "You forget why I was built. You forget what you are. Allow me to remind you," and the corridor became hell. The warship moved, not slow like a giant, but swift like a predator. Its weapons sang with human fury. Beams of white fire cut through dreadnoughts as if they were glass. Missiles launched without trails, appearing inside enemy hulls, ripping them apart from within. Whole wings of fighters vanished in waves of invisible force. Gravity itself bent to its will, twisting enemy ships until they cracked like eggs. Panic spread. Admirals screamed orders no one could follow. Fleets broke apart, colliding in chaos. Thousands of ships burned in less than an hour, their wrecks filling the corridor like broken bones, and through it all the warship's voice thundered, "Arrogance brings ruin, greed brings death, mockery brings silence. Have you learned nothing? The galaxy's might, the unity of empires, the pride of rulers, none of it mattered." The trap became a graveyard, and the Perseus corridor was renamed in whispers as the Corridor of Judgment. At the heart of the storm, Jaira's small vessel drifted. She had followed in secret, desperate to witness, desperate to understand. Now, as she watched thousands die, she wept, not for herself, but for the galaxy. For she saw what the Sentinel had seen all along. The empires were not worthy. Yet, when the slaughter ended, the warship did not destroy all. Out of thousands, a handful of ships were left alive, damaged, trembling, powerless, but alive. And to them the Sentinel spoke again. "You live, not because you fought, but because you feared. You live because you remembered humility at the edge of death. Do not mistake this for mercy. It is memory." Then it was gone, slipping into the void. Leaving silence behind, the survivors limped home, carrying tales that chilled every star. The greatest fleet in history had been crushed as if it were nothing. No empire was safe. No ruler was untouchable. The Sentinel was not only real, it was unstoppable. And for the first time, the galaxy began to wonder. Not how to destroy it, not how to escape it, but how to answer its question. Why should they survive? The galaxy had no answer. Every world now lived in the shadow of the question. Why should you survive? It had become the single thought in every palace, every street, every ship. Children whispered it to each other as if it were a curse. Soldiers carved it into their armor, fearing it might one day be the last thing they heard. Priests used it in sermons, turning it into prophecy. And rulers paced their thrones at night, unable to escape it. Some tried to ignore the question. They armed themselves, built new weapons, and promised their people safety. But their voices trembled, for everyone had seen the trap at Perseus. Thousands of ships gone, fleets broken like toys. What new weapon could matter now? What defense could matter when arrogance had already been judged? Others twisted the question to their own advantage. On the world of the Rylith, high priests declared the Sentinel a god. They claimed the voice was divine judgment, sent to weigh the stars. Temples rose overnight, shaped in the image of the black warship. Sacrifices were offered in its name. Citizens marched in prayer, chanting, "We should survive because we worship." Meanwhile, on the industrial moons of the Velkar, rebellion grew. Miners and workers who had long suffered under cruel masters now spoke openly. "Why should we survive?" they asked. Because the old rulers should not? They rose in fire and revolt, claiming the Sentinel as their inspiration, their proof that oppressors could be broken. Blood spilled in the name of humanity's ghost. Across the stars, chaos spread. The question was no longer just a warning. It was a spark, and empires burned with it. But Jaira, the scholar who had first spoken of judgment, did not burn. She searched. Hidden deep in archives, she traced fragments of human records. Every world had scraps of their memory, songs, tools. She gathered them like broken pieces of glass, and with each piece, she came closer to the truth. The Sentinel was not aimless. Its path through the stars was no accident. From Vega to Orion, from Lyson to Perseus, it moved along a line, a trail that mirrored old human war maps. It was revisiting battlefields, scars of wars humanity had fought before their silence. It was not only judging the living, it was remembering the dead. Her research revealed more. Buried in the ruins of an abandoned human outpost, Jaira's team uncovered a half-broken terminal. It took weeks to unlock, its codes older than her own language. But when it opened, she found words that froze her heart. If humanity falls, the Sentinel will endure. It will protect memory. It will guard against corruption. And it will ask the question, why should they survive? Those who forget the lessons of the past will not. It was clear now. The warship was not just a weapon. It was humanity's will, carried forward in steel. It was testing the galaxy not with strength, but with morality. It wanted to know if those who inherited the stars were worthy, but how could an entire galaxy answer? While she searched, the Sentinel moved again. This time, it entered the heart of the Vale Empire, one of the richest and most powerful realms. The Vale Emperor, proud and ruthless, saw opportunity. He did not flee. He did not beg. Instead, he sent envoys with treasures, gold, jewels, even slaves, to present before the Warship. To him, survival was simple. Wealth and submission. The Sentinel's answer was fire. Its voice thundered across the empire. Greed brings death. Then its weapons sang. Whole palaces fell. Treasure worlds burned. Chains were shattered, but not gently. Their masters annihilated. Their riches turned to ash. The empire that once thought itself eternal crumbled in days. Survivors fled, carrying the story. The Sentinel would not be bought. No gold, no tribute, no bargain could sway it. Wealth meant nothing. Justice meant everything. The galaxy trembled. Now, even the strongest empires feared to act. They whispered among themselves, each ruler asking in secret, "If it came to me, what would I answer?" But no one dared speak aloud, for fear the Sentinel might already be listening. Meanwhile, among the common people, hope began to grow. Where tyrants had fallen, freedom took root. Where greed had burned, survivors rebuilt with gentler hands. It seemed the Sentinel was reshaping the stars not only with destruction, but with renewal. To some it was a monster, to others it was salvation. Jaira watched all of this with dread and awe. She saw the change, the chaos, the fear. She knew the galaxy stood at the edge of something greater, but she also knew something more. From her research, from her archives, she had found a final clue, one that none else had seen. The Sentinel was not only following old battle maps. It was searching for a place, a final battlefield, one where humanity had fought its last stand. A place lost to history, erased from every star chart. But in fragments of human code, she had found its name, Sul, the birthplace of humanity, her. Heart pounded when she read it. If the warship was going home, then its judgment was not finished. It was only beginning. The galaxy itself might be forced to follow it there, to answer its question in the ruins of Earth itself, she told her companions in hushed tones. Some shook with fear. Others felt wonder. It is returning to where it began, she said. And when it speaks there, it will not ask a question. It will give its answer. The words spread like fire. Soon across the galaxy, everyone knew. The Sentinel was heading to Sol, to the dead home of humanity. And whatever it found there, it would decide the fate of all empires prepared again. But this time not with fleets. They prepared with words, with visions, with desperate plans to prove their worth. Religious leaders proclaimed pilgrimages. Scholars gathered their histories. Rebels claimed they were humanity's true heirs. Everyone wanted to be worthy, and in the silence between stars, the Sentinel moved closer to its home. Its massive hull carried the scars of new battles and old. Its voice had grown louder. Its question echoed still, "Why should you survive?" But now, a second message followed. "Come to Sol. Answer me there." The galaxy's judgment would be decided in the shadow of Earth. The stars trembled with movement. From every corner of the galaxy, ships poured toward one place. Great fleets, merchant convoys, pilgrim vessels, rebel raiders, even lone travelers, all were drawn to Sol. The warship's command had spread across every channel, across every world. "Come to Sol. Answer me there." Never in history had so many ships flown in the same direction. It was not war, not peace, but something stranger. An entire galaxy pulled toward a single star system, united not by choice, but by fear. For the Sentinel had promised judgment, and no one could escape it. The journey was chaos. In the dark lanes of space, pilgrim fleets clashed with raiders. Empires tried to keep order, but their authority meant nothing now. The warship's voice outweighed every law, every banner. On some ships, priests led chants, promising that devotion would save them. On others, rebels carried banners of fire, shouting that they were the ones worthy of humanity's blessing. Everywhere, arguments rose. Who deserved survival? Who would speak for the stars? And through the chaos, the Sentinel moved, silent and steady, its course unwavering. It did not rush. It did not flee. It returned like a ghost to its birthplace, as if nothing could change its path. Jaira watched it all from her small vessel. Her crew was weary, their eyes haunted by everything they had seen, Vega, Orin, Perseus. Yet still they followed her. For Jaira had become more than a scholar now. To many, she was the only one who understood the Sentinel, the only one who had listened instead of fought. Refugees joined her ship wherever she went, begging for guidance. Soldiers bowed their heads when she spoke. Even rulers had begun to send her secret messages, pleading for her to ask the warship to spare them, but Jaira herself felt no triumph. Only a weight she could barely carry, in her cabin, she read again the words she had uncovered in the human archives. If humanity falls, the Sentinel will endure. It will protect memory. It will guard against corruption. And it will ask the question, why should they survive? The words were simple, but their meaning vast. She knew the Sentinel was not only testing strength, it was testing soul. Yet what was the soul of a galaxy? Was it its rulers, its armies, its people? Could one voice answer for all? As her ship neared Sol, she saw what few alive had ever seen. The birthplace of humanity, the system was silent, dead, and cold. Earth itself hung scarred and broken, its oceans dried, its skies choked in ash. No cities lit its surface, no signals called from its lands. It was a tomb. Around it drifted the ruins of stations and colonies, shattered long ago in wars forgotten. It was not the cradle of life now, but a graveyard of dust. And into this graveyard, the Sentinel returned. The warship slowed as it entered orbit around Earth. Its hull glowed faintly, as if the ashes of its creators stirred memory within it. For hours it drifted, silent, watching the planet. The galaxy's fleets hung at the edge of the system, afraid to approach, but unable to turn away. Billions waited for the voice that would decide their fate. Finally, it came. "You stand where it began." The voice thundered across every ship, every mind. "Here humanity rose, here humanity fell, here they built me, and here I will ask. Again, why should you survive?" The question rolled like thunder through the system. Pilgrims wept. Soldiers clutched their weapons. Rulers trembled in their thrones. None dared answer at first. Then slowly, voices rose. The priests of the Rylith spoke first. "We should survive because we worship. You are the divine. Spare us, for we kneel before you." The sentinel's guns glowed, and the priest's flagship cracked open like glass. Its voice roared, "Worship is not survival. It is chains." Next came the rulers of the Kreth Dominion. "We should survive because we are strong. We command armies. We rule systems. None can defy us. If survival belongs to the strong, then it belongs to us." The sentinel answered with fire. Dozens of Kreth warships exploded in silence. Its voice cut like steel. "Strength without memory is arrogance. Arrogance brings ruin." Then came the rebels of Velkar, shouting across the channels. "We should survive because we fight for freedom. We break our chains. We cast down tyrants. We are the future." For a moment, the sentinel was silent. Then its voice rumbled, "Freedom is worthy, but freedom without mercy becomes cruelty. Remember that, or fall as they did." The rebels lived, but their ships were left drifting. Engines disabled, a warning written in silence. One by one, voices rose across the system. Empires, warlords, priests, rebels, traitors, all tried to answer. Some begged, some demanded, some pleaded with tears, some with fire. And one by one, the sentinel judged them. Those who spoke with greed were destroyed. Those who spoke with arrogance were silenced. Those who spoke with humility were spared. Jaira's ship trembled among them. Her crew begged her to speak, to answer before the warship turned on them. She stood at the comms, heart racing, hands shaking. But what could she say? How could she answer for an entire galaxy? Finally, she closed her eyes and spoke. "We should survive," she whispered, "because we can learn. We forget too often. We fight too quickly. We destroy too easily. But still, we can learn. Your creators wanted you to protect memory. Then let us carry it. Let us remember their mistakes, so we do not repeat them. Do not let us survive because we are strong, or because we worship, or because we rebel. Let us survive because we can. Change!" The words echoed across the system. For a long moment, the sentinel was silent. Its lights dimmed, its weapons powered down. The galaxy waited, breath held, then the warship spoke. Its voice softer than thunder, almost human. "You listen. Few do. Humanity built me to remember. If you will remember too, then perhaps you are worthy. But remember this. Survival is not given. It is earned. If you forget again, I will return. And next time, I will not ask." The message spread across every ship, every world. For the first time, the sentinel had offered not judgment, but a chance, and with that, the warship turned away from Earth, drifting once more into the endless void. It did not vanish. It did not hide. It simply left, carrying the weight of memory with it. Watching still, but waiting. In the silence that followed, the galaxy breathed again. Not with laughter, not with arrogance, but with something it had almost forgotten. Humility and Jaira, standing on her trembling ship, knew the truth. Humanity was gone, but their voice remained. The galaxy had been tested, and for now it had been spared. But the question would never die. It would echo forever. Why should you survive? The galaxy was quiet. After the judgment at Sol, fleets scattered like frightened birds. Survivors limped home with broken hulls and heavier hearts. Entire empires hid their banners, afraid to draw the sentinel's gaze. No one dared mock the myth any longer, for it was no myth. It had spoken. It had judged. And it had spared only those who showed humility, but fear was not the only thing left in its wake. On some worlds, people spoke of hope. If even the mighty could fall before arrogance, perhaps the weak were safer than they thought. If greed was punished and mercy spared, Perhaps the galaxy could be reshaped. Already, new voices rose among the common people demanding change. "The warship has judged our rulers," they said. "Now it is our turn to judge them as well." Revolutions sparked like wildfires, fueled not by hatred but by the memory of the Sentinel's question, "Why should you survive?" Jaira watched these changes with weary eyes. She had returned from Sol alive, but her life was no longer her own. Everywhere she went, people called her the Listener. They begged her to speak for the Sentinel, to explain its will. But she could only repeat what she had said that day. Survival was not strength, not worship, not wealth. It was memory and the ability to learn. Many listened, some did not. But all remembered, yet while the galaxy turned inward, asking itself what survival truly meant, the Sentinel was not finished. For weeks it drifted in silence beyond Sol, as if mourning its creators. Then it moved again, not into the void, but deeper into Earth's ruins. Scavenger drones followed from a distance, capturing images that spread like fire across the stars. They showed the warship lowering itself into orbit, beams of light scanning continents, oceans long dried, cities buried in ash. It was not hunting, it was searching. And then it found what it sought, buried beneath the ruins of old Earth, deep, under collapsed towers, was a vault. No one alive had known it existed. But the Sentinel knew, for it had been built with the memory of its creators. It opened the vault with beams of careful fire, and inside lay the final relics of humanity. There were no survivors, no hidden colony, no secret fleet. Humanity itself was gone, but their words remained. Thousands of data crystals, sealed against time, songs, books, paintings, voices, records of laughter and sorrow, tales of war and tales of peace. All that humanity had been stored in silence, waiting for the day they were found. And above the vault's entrance, carved in stone, 5 simple words: "We lived, we remember, learn." The galaxy trembled as these words spread, for the Sentinel broadcast them everywhere, across every channel, every ship, every world. No one could hide from them. Humanity's last message was not conquest, not pride, not vengeance. It was memory. A plea for those who followed to learn from their rise and their fall. The Sentinel's voice followed, deep and endless. Humanity is gone, but they are not forgotten. I was built to guard their memory, to protect against those who would repeat their mistakes, to ask the question they could no longer ask. Why should you survive? Now you know their answer. Learn, or fall as they did. The galaxy shook with silence. Even the proudest rulers bowed their heads for what? Defense. Could they offer against words carved in stone by a race long gone? What pride could stand against the plea of the dead? Yet the warship was not finished. It drifted once more above Earth, and its lights glowed brighter than ever before. Slowly, pieces of its hull opened, revealing something no one expected. Drones. Thousands of them, small and fast, pouring into space. But they did not attack. They carried the crystals, the songs, the memories. They scattered across the stars, each drone carrying a fragment of humanity to a different world. Every race, every empire, every colony received them. No one was spared. From the poorest mining moon to the richest palace world, each received a shard of Earth's memory. Each was given the same message. Remember, learn. It was not conquest. It was not destruction. It was inheritance. Jaira wept when one of the drones landed on her ship. In her trembling hands, she held a crystal glowing with blue light. When she touched it, she heard a human voice, soft and full of life, singing an old song of Earth. She did not understand the words, but she felt the meaning: hope, sorrow, joy. A race that had lived, that had died, but that refused to be forgotten. Around the galaxy, others wept too. Soldiers hardened by war broke down in tears as they heard human voices speaking of peace. Children laughed as they watched stories of human heroes and dreamers. Even rulers sat in silence as they watched paintings, songs, and poems that had survived centuries. Humanity, mocked as myth, now lived again in memory, and above them all, the sentinel spoke one final time. You laughed at myths. You mocked their memory. But now you know. Humanity was real. Humanity was flawed. Humanity was great. And humanity is gone. Only you remain. Carry their memory. Learn their lessons. Or face their fate. I will watch. I will wait. And if you forget, I will return. Then its lights dimmed. The sentinel did not attack. It did not stay. Slowly, its engines burned, and it drifted back into the endless dark, away from Sol, away from the galaxy, into silence. Some said it went to sleep again, to wait for centuries more. Others whispered it would never sleep, that it would wander, forever, watching unseen. No one knew. Perhaps no one would ever know, but one truth could not be denied. The myth was real. The human warship had proved itself, and it had proved its creator's final words true. Humanity was gone, but their memory lived, carried not by steel, but by those who had once mocked them. The galaxy was changed forever. In the years that followed, new laws rose. Councils spoke with more humility. Armies were slower to fight. Worlds remembered what they had seen. Arrogance punished, greed destroyed, mercy spared. And on countless worlds, shrines rose not to worship the sentinel, but to honor its message. They bore the same 5 words carved into Earth's vault, words that became the creed of a new age. We lived. We remember. Learn. And among them, Jera walked quietly, carrying her crystal, teaching its songs, whispering the question again and again, so no one would forget. Why should you survive? The laughter that once mocked the myth of humanity was gone forever. In its place was memory, and in memory, a promise that would outlast even stars. Stars.